Morning, everyone. My name is Tom Hooper. I'm the Vice President of Sector Pathways here at CommCorp, where I oversee our different industry sector focused programs. And thanks so much for joining us all today.
Hi, folks. My name is Adil Suleiman, he, him, his. I'm the Vice President of Youth and Justice Programs here at Commonwealth Corporation. I've been here for about a year and a half. I'm really excited to see some familiar faces in the chat and to get started sharing a bit about our organization. For our next slide, we have our introduction to Commonwealth Corporation. So we are a quasi-public agency that was established in 1996. We sit under the umbrella of the Office of Labor and Workforce Development. And so we really report into the Secretary of Labor for Massachusetts. We're responsible for enhancing workforce training in Massachusetts on behalf of the state legislature and the state administration. And what that means practically is a lot, or really all of our programs are coming through state budget line items, the legislature, and the different secretariats. We support all sectors, and particularly those with acute labor shortages. So you'll see us in places like healthcare and manufacturing and the trades to make sure that demand for certain labor is met with supply for labor. And we're focused on critical populations, on underemployed adults, youth, returning citizens, young adults with disabilities. We play a few key roles in that grant administration, which is the administration of the training grants themselves to ensure that invoicing and compliance is all functioning as intended. We provide technical assistance as a provider and a convener to strengthen the system and provider capacity. So we do that through best practice meetings where we bring together our grantees, as well as convenings where we're bringing together the broader audience in a workforce system to help design best practices and ensure that we're meeting the highest level of standards. And then the last thing mentioned here is collecting and reporting on statewide workforce training data. So for all of our programs, we're working with a large number of providers, and we want to be able to collect and report that data to continue enriching the field, supporting best practices and potential changes in the workforce training system over time. Tom, I'm going to turn it back to you to talk about some of the fast facts related to CommCorp.
Great. Thanks, Adil. I'll provide just a little additional information on CommCorp, highlighting some of the points on this slide. In the last fiscal year, we awarded over $130 million in grants collectively across all of our programs, serving more than 47,000 individuals all across the state. Our programs serve individuals and regions truly all across the state, from the Cape to Western Mass. Our programs collectively serve all industry sectors, such as construction, healthcare, and IT, and those are just a few examples. And we place a unique focus on underserved individuals, including unemployed individuals and individuals of color. Otto and I are now going to provide you all with brief overviews of our different programs. And I'll start by discussing our three sector-focused programs, beginning with the Workforce Competitiveness Trust Fund, or WCTF for short. WCTF is one of CommCorp's longstanding programs, with its 20-year anniversary actually coming up next year. WCTF funds partnerships between employers, community colleges, and other training providers, workforce boards, and other organizations to create a pipeline of workers. This program focuses on training unemployed and underemployed adults and helping them secure employment, and funds projects in a wide range of industries. WCTF also pivots to address critical state workforce priorities. Just to give an example, recently WCTF placed an increased emphasis on English for speakers of other languages. And get just one example. As you can see from this slide, eligibility for WCTF grants is very broad. Organizations that can apply for WCTF grants include community-based organizations, community colleges, employers, labor organizations, and workforce boards, as well as a range of other entities, which again are listed here. The primary WCTF grants are Donnelly grants, which fund the implementation of workforce development projects. These grants can be up to $500,000 and up to 3 years in length. And again, that's per award. Next slide, please. This slide gives a great example of the impact that WCTF grants are having on individuals across the state. With support from a WCTF grant, Catholic Charities is now able to offer a nursing assistant home health aide training program free of charge with career coaching and other additional supports for participants, enrolling individuals like Miss Asquerdo, the program participant featured on this slide. Next slide, please. I'll now highlight another longstanding CommCorp program, the Workforce Training Fund, or WTFP for short. WTFP funds training for companies' incumbent workers, helping them enhance their skills while also supporting business productivity and competitiveness. WTFP supports training in a wide range of skills and topics in response to the very specific needs of employers, such as quality assurance, project management, and ESOL. And those are just a few examples of the skills and topics on which the program focuses. We fund two types of WTFP grants: express grants of up to $15,000 for businesses with up to 100 employees, and general program grants of up to $125,000 for businesses of any size. WTFP is another program that CommCorp offers, which serves a wide range of industries. Massachusetts employers that use the contributory method to finance unemployment insurance are eligible to apply for WTFP grants. That includes all for-profit employers and some nonprofits too. Finally, I'll note that training providers like community colleges play a central role in providing training in the WTFP program, and that applies to both the Express and the General Program grants. Next slide, please. This slide gives an example of the impact of WTFP on workers and employers statewide. ML Schmidt, which is an electrical contractor serving the western part of the state, accessed WTFP funding to provide lean fundamentals training to their employees, and that ultimately improved team communication, efficiency, and productivity. Next slide, please. The third sector-focused program that I'll highlight is the Career Technical Initiative. CTI is a relatively new program, launched a few years ago to fund vocational technical high schools to provide training after dark when the 9-to-5 workday is over. CTI trains unemployed and underemployed adults for jobs specifically in manufacturing, construction, and the skilled trades. Like many other CommCorp programs, partnerships are critical to CTI. CTI requires partnerships with multiple employers and recommends partnerships with MassHire Career Centers or a third-party provider to provide core program services. CTI funds both implementation grants as well as planning grants. The anticipated size of implementation grants are from $160,000 to $2 million per individual award. In terms of eligibility, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education approved Chapter 74 or CTE Career Connections programs that are aligned to the CTI target occupations are all eligible to apply for CTI funding. Next slide, please. This slide provides a great example of a CTI grant in action. Neshoba's CTI electrical program provides both theoretical knowledge as well as practical skills and helped Felicia, the program participant featured here, secure full-time employment with Granite City Electric. This program has been extremely popular in response to and reflecting the industry for this kind of training in its area. And you'll note that there's even a wait list for future classes. So I hope that that overview of the different sector-focused programs was helpful. And I'll now hand the verbal microphone over to Adil to talk about our youth and justice programs.
Great. Thanks, Tom. So the next 5 programs I'm going to walk through are programs that primarily focus on youth or justice-impacted individuals. These programs run the gamut from the ones that we offer under the Office of Labor and Workforce Development and through our contracts with the Office of Health and Human Services. So I'll try to be really specific about how those partnerships work, but definitely feel free to ask questions in the Q&A function if anything's not clear. So our YouthWorks program focuses on youth and young adults aged 14 to 25 that are low income, and also youth who have historically marginalized identities. In partnership with our MassHire Regional Workforce Boards, community-based organizations, and employers statewide, we fund training and soft skills via our Signal Success curriculum, which is a proprietary curriculum that we've developed in-house at CommCorp, and we provide to grantees under this program, actually as a requirement for their training. The training also covers professional behaviors and other hands-on experiences. The idea being to support youth and young adults in their career journey is focusing on that age and career stage model. So we recognize that within this fund, an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 25-year-old, you may be all the same age, but in very different stages in your career learning and career journey. And last but not least, but I think really importantly, this program provides short-term work placements at public, private, and nonprofit work sites. And so we're constantly sourcing and looking for employer partners who would be interested in hosting our subsidized work placements, because 60% of the funding in this grant goes to participant wages, stipends, or support services, with the other 40% for operational logistics at our grantees. This current year, so program year 2025 to 2026, we've awarded $22.6 million. And so that will start summer of 2025, so upcoming as school ends, and run through June 30th of 2026. And by and large, applications to this program are for our regional mass hire workforce boards. They organize their region's applications. So we have 16 workforce boards throughout Massachusetts. And if you are in Bristol County, you'll work with the regional mass hire board in Bristol County to connect on their application and understand how you could fit into their plans for youth works in their region. So if you're a potential training provider or an employer, you could connect with us and we can facilitate that connection to ensure that you're plugged into the youth under this program who are growing in their careers and able to work in these short-term placements. I will mention also last year we served about 6,000 over the last, let me rephrase this. Generally, year over year, we serve about 6,000 young adults through this program across Massachusetts. On the next slide, we have a success story about Isra Nadim, who's passionate about public service and leadership. And so as a high schooler, she was placed in an internship in the Chicopee Mayor's office and developed an understanding of the inner workings of local government, got an opportunity to connect with the governor, the lieutenant governor, and other local officials, and continue to expand this exposure for public service. And so it prepares her for a future career and also helps her gain confidence and clarity about her goals. That's really important to understand that, you know, if you're a 16, 17, 18-year-old in this program, you may be gearing up toward an employment outcome, but you may not end up in an employment outcome. And we recognize that continuum of service and growing kind of our career pipeline and talent offerings. On the right side of the slide, you'll see a quote from Carmen Ruiz, who's one of our youth coordinators working under this grant. And the big thing here is they got a wait list. They've got this great achievement and they've got a lot of young people that have started working with them and ending up in full-time jobs. And they're seeing really the advantage of this continued partnership. On the next slide, I'm going to talk a bit about our justice impacted youth. Our justice impacted adults through the Reentry Workforce Development Demonstration Program. It's a bit of a mouthful. This program is also funded through a state line item and executed in partnership with the Office of Labor and Workforce Development. And it focuses on formerly incarcerated adults who will be between 180 days pre-release and 18 months post-release at the program's start. And the focus is really on them obtaining career track opportunities. So these career track opportunities, you know, we're really focused on occupational connections and going back to that connection to kind of acute industry needs. But the whole point of working pre-release and then also post-release is to create that continuum of service as folks are released from incarceration and reintegrating back into their community as returning citizens. And for that reason, we also focus on our grantees having intentional partnerships with Department of Corrections or House of Corrections. The current funding year that we're in, which runs until October, we'll talk about RFPs toward the end of this session. But we have an RFP currently on our website for this, but our current funding year that we're about to end, we put out $2.6 million for this program. The eligibility for this program are organizations with demonstrated experience, success, and capacity to provide occupationally focused training. And we measure job placements as retaining a job for at least 30 days, securing and retaining a job for at least 30 days under this program. And generally, year over year, this program serves about 450 returning citizens. Moving on to the success stories and the impact for this program, I wanted to highlight Emmanuel. If we go to the next slide, please. Great. Emmanuel was incarcerated for 12 years, and when he got out, the Bridge Club of Greater Lowell was able to help him get his first meal, provide him with close work, and give him the chance to build skills and find employment in the culinary field. This is a really important part of the program. A lot of times we don't realize the necessary kind of connections in returning to a community. And one of the first things you can do is go get your ID, go get kind of reset up when you are released from incarceration. In addition to housing, transportation, daily essentials, these participants get in-demand certifications and benefit from this network of employer partnerships through the program, which for Emmanuel now means that he works at Restaurant Depot and has a mentor who supports him through the ups and downs of his journey. We're in the process, Bridge Club's in the process of launching more on-site culinary arts programs to give opportunities to more folks like Emmanuel. And this quote on the right, I think, is really great in reflecting the impact of this program. The support was huge, not just for being able to have a job, but having people who have empathy for you. From the outside looking in, they put themselves in my shoes and went above and beyond. And I know that I can always call to this day, and there's always someone to talk to. Moving on to our employment program for young adults with disabilities, this program funds initiatives that prepare and retain young adults with disabilities in meaningful employment. In our most recent program year, we put out $850,000 of funding under this program, also through a state budget line item. And we serve about 140 young adults. The eligibility for this program is community-based organizations that have demonstrated success in preparing young adults with disabilities for employment and providing support once the individuals are placed in a position that promotes retention. The history of partnerships and employers, we also focus on that history of partnerships and employers that have a proven ability to place and retain individuals in the workforce. And for this program, we just closed one round of funding, and as we'll talk about later in the presentation, we'll have another round of funding later in the year. The next two programs I'm going to highlight are our programs that we run in connection with the Office of Health and Human Services under contracts with those secretariats. So we provide administrative support and oversight to the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative, also called SSYI, through a contract with EOHHS. This program focuses on individuals that are aged 17 to 24 and identified as proven risk or impact players by local law enforcement. This means they'll be substantially gang involved, they're most likely to be a victim or perpetrator of a violent weapons offense, or they're believed to be engaged in high volume illegal activity. The program operates in the 14 Massachusetts cities with the highest young adult crime rates. And this funding is actually currently on combis for approximately $9.6 million for the upcoming program year. And that generally serves about 1,000 young adults across the state of Massachusetts. Generally, cities are partnering with local lead agencies, and the lead agencies provide services and opportunities to the young adults. So if you're a nonprofit, municipal, county, for-profit, licensed mental health clinic, you can contact us and be connected with a regional lead agency in your area to connect with your local SSYI program. And last but certainly not least, in rounding out kind of our justice impacted and youth programs, is our Skill Up initiative with DYS. So on the next slide, we have a contract with the Department of Youth Services, and we provide high quality employability program and services to youth committed in the juvenile justice system across the Commonwealth. This is really important for us because this is actually our to my knowledge, our program at CommCorp that is direct service, where we are working directly with the young people, the participants and constituents on the ground. And we facilitate improved access to employers and skill building opportunities for youth through regional partnerships with employers and training providers to break these cycles of recidivism that negatively impact communities across the state. Youth are supported by dedicated staff, including career navigators who provide foundational life skills and career development support training. And then also our employer outreach specialists who are responsible for creating these beneficial relationships between employers and system-involved youth. For this program, all youth who are committed to the juvenile justice system in Massachusetts are participating. And so this program serves about 400 youth every year. And if you're an employer who's interested in pre-screened, skilled, and motivated talent, we'd invite you to reach out to us to be connected to our talent pool in your region. This program is a little different where it's not a grant program, and so we're really looking for employers who'd like to get connected and learn more about our programming. Moving on, we're going to talk about how to get involved with Commonwealth Corporation, some of the areas where you can stay in touch with us, and also some of our upcoming procurements. On the next slide, you'll see our available funding, which is information about our request for proposals, RFPs. The best way to find that out is by going on our website, commcorp.org, and going to the available funding page. And we keep that page always up to date. On that page and on our website, you can also subscribe to our email newsletter, and that'll also give you funding updates as items are posted. Other great ways to stay in touch to make sure that you can always see what's going on with us is our LinkedIn and our Facebook. The tags are listed for those below, and you can also, through LinkedIn, sign up for our newsletter to receive consistent updates as well. In terms of our upcoming opportunities and RFPs, we have them listed here, and we'll stay on the slide for a second because I know there's some questions about this slide as well. And I'm going to just walk through them from top to bottom and then invite Tom to add in anything additional about the sector programs that are on this list. So as I mentioned earlier, our Reentry Workforce Development Grant is currently open on our website. It closes on Friday, June 20th, and that's for our upcoming program year of funding. Up next on the list, and we've arranged this list as chronologically as we could, is our Workforce Training Fund program. And so that's expected to accept express and general program applications in July. Our employment program for young adults with disabilities for the upcoming program year should be releasing its RFP in September or October of this year. Our Workforce Competitiveness Trust Fund is expected in the fall. YouthWorks for the upcoming program year. I will call out, I believe that's a typo. That's my typo. That should be program year 2026 to 2027. That RFP will go out in November, December of 2025. And then for CTI, we have a planning grant that's open now and a CTI round of funding that will be available January 2026. Tom, anything to add on this slide?
Thanks, Alec. Great overview. I think the only additional point I'd mention, just to underline one of Adel's points about the CTI funding opportunities, we have an RFP that is open right now for a planning grant, and you can learn more about it by going to our website and accessing the funding link. And definitely encourage the CTI eligible applicants who are interested in pursuing that type of an opportunity to explore that now. So that's currently open.
Awesome. And I think for our Q&A, I'll turn it back over to Natalie.
Thank you, and thanks both for that great presentation. We'll get some of these questions going just to clarify what we've talked about so far. So the first question that I'm going to present to Tom is just clarifying how someone can get involved with the WTFP grant if they want to offer a program that can be funded by it.
Great. Thanks, Natalie. It's a great question. And just a quick summary recap, the WTFP program is our longstanding program that focuses on funding training for incumbent workers. Training providers are a central element of that program in providing training to employers. For training providers who are interested in getting involved with the program, I think two very specific steps you can take. One is to register for the Express Provider portal. There's a portal available through our website where training providers can go and actually register their courses for potential selection by Express Grant recipients. You can update courses on that portal at any time, and it's definitely very easy to use. So encourage training providers who are interested in making courses available to do that through the portal. After that happens, you'll be notified when your training program has been formally registered, and then you can send clients or potential clients to our applicant page so they can kick off the application process. So two pretty specific and fairly straightforward steps that training providers could take there. Great question.
Great, thank you. And I have a couple questions for Adil now as well. The first question is related to YouthWorks and how long short-term youth placements are, and if partners who want to offer job placements can specify that the participants are 18 and up.
Yeah, great question. So short-term youth placements, we're definitely fairly flexible for our summer programs. Those range generally anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And there's also year-round programming that runs through YouthWorks as well, where those short-term placements can extend longer. Generally, the constraints are mostly around the funding available and how you'd like to compensate youth kind of for those work placements. In terms of the age range, we do specify, and in this type of overview, it's a little difficult to get into all the nuances of each program. But there's 4 different tiers under YouthWorks, and those tiers are organized by age and career stage. And so you could say, well, my program is for folks that are more in the tier 3 and 4 group, which is the older age and further along in career stage group. And that's the target population we hope to serve. And we actually really encourage that because we know that with more focused programming on direct and deliberate target populations, that the funding can go further and the impact can go further.
Great, thank you. The next question is related to the reentry program. Are companies that are interested in providing job placements for reentry participants eligible to apply for the RFP?
Companies. So training providers are eligible to apply for the RFP. We ask that training providers connect and provide MOUs with at least 2 employer partners. And so if you're an employer partner interested in getting connected into the reentry workforce development grant, I'd highly encourage you to reach out so that we could connect you with training providers that may be in your region so that you could hopefully connect with them about the possibility of connecting to their application for the program, or even connecting with their talent at the end of the program who may be looking for employment.
Thank you. Okay, back to Tom. We have a question just wanting to get some more background and information on the Donnelly grants.
Absolutely. Yep, great question. So the Donnelly grants are one of the types of grants available through the Workforce Competitiveness Trust Fund, or WCTF for short. Unfortunately, we have multiple programs that start with the letter W, so that can make keeping them up straight a little challenging sometimes. So WCTF, again, is the grant program we offer that focuses on funding partnerships that train individuals for jobs in demand in their regions. So it's a pipeline program. One of the primary types of grants, it's actually the primary type of grant that we give out through WCTF, are called Donnelly grants. Those are workforce implementation focused grants that provide up to $500,000 for a grant of up to 3 years to um, any of those individuals, any of those organizations I mentioned on the slide, to work in partnership with others to train folks for jobs in demand in their areas. The Donnelly Grant RFP, the most recent one, just closed. That was the WCTF grant opportunity that closed on May 23rd. And again, the primary types of grants we give out through WCTF are Donnelly grants. So it's just another term for our large implementation focused grants.
Thank you. And Tom, could you speak to the pausing of the express grants? I think there's a little bit of confusion around when those are going to be available.
Absolutely. Great questions, and thanks for those in the chat. So both types of grants that we fund through the Workforce Training Fund program, the incumbent worker training program we offer. So both the express grants and the general program grants um, are currently paused because all the funds that we had available for that program have been awarded for this fiscal year. So because we've exhausted all the funds we had available for this fiscal year, we're no longer accepting applications for both the express and the general program grants. However, that's just for this fiscal year. The next fiscal year, which starts on July 1st, means that we expect to begin to accept applications again in July. So in other words, next month. So the pause is just temporary until we have our next year's funding available again and can continue accepting applications.
Great. And there's a question about if the WTFP maximums are going to change in the next year.
It's a good question. We don't have any policy updates to share at this time. So I think that the best approach to take is to follow the funding maximums, both for Express and for the WTFP general grants that are listed on our website.
Okay. And there's a question about if people want to get involved in the TFP program. And sorry, I know there's a lot of acronyms, so we'll try to be as clear as we can. And again, you'll get the recording and the slides later, so you can go back over and refamiliarize yourself. But is there any form or any advice you have for sending to employers to try to kind of make that connection and get them involved in an application for a WTFP grant?
Another great question. The website that we have that's available to everyone is pretty easily accessible, and definitely encourage you to send employers to that website, and we'll send that link out again after the meeting. Um, I'll also follow up with the WTFP team to see if there are any specific materials that would be helpful to share as well. And we can, if there are, we'll provide those along with that FAQ that we offer it after the webinar.
Great. And I do see some people using the chat to maybe make connections. So I think that's a great idea as well. Um, thanks for doing that. Another question for Tom. Does Mass Development oversee the CTI grants?
Um, EULWD, so the organization that Otto mentioned, our the state agency that oversees our work, also oversees WTFP, as well as the other all the other sector programs that I covered.
Okay. I'll jump to Adil just to give Tom a little break from answering. Are you looking for training providers for the youth involved in Skill Up?
Training
Funding.
providers specifically, yes, I think our as we enter a new fiscal year, we're always interested in connecting with training providers and seeing if there are opportunities to partner. So we don't have necessarily funding, we don't necessarily have the ability to say, hey, we can definitely partner on certain types of training, but I think we'd love to be connected and stay connected and see if there are opportunities. So yeah, please reach out, and I think we'd be happy to chat, see what we're doing in your region, and see if there's any way that we could collaborate. I think, especially when we're talking about training providers and nonprofits, we're all working toward the same goal of supporting, young people getting the support and training they need, and organizing kind of the ecosystems in each region of talent and demand for labor. And so we'd love to partner on that.
Great. And we have an example here, which is an individual that runs a business that hires youth, and they have a small youth mentorship program. They're hoping to get more resources to grow this, and they're wondering if there's a specific grant on either end, either Tom or Adil, that might be helpful for their business.
I could start, and then Tom, if you have any connections, definitely um, feel free to jump in. So, depending on the type of the background of the youth that you're supporting and that mentorship program, I think there's plenty of opportunities ranging from our Skill Up work with the Department of Youth Services to Youth Works and connecting you with the regional mass hire board in your region, all the way even to, depending on the background of youth, our young adults with disabilities work. And so I'd love to connect and learn a little bit more about your work, the candy store, and the mentorship program that you're running, to see how we could get you connected to see if there's a fit among our grant programs or among our grantees. Tom, anything to add to that?
It's a great question. I think that thinking about the sector focused programs, mentorship services could be a potential supportive service that some of our grantees focus on. But mentorship isn't the primary focus of the different sector focused programs. So that can help you think about potential partnerships, but it may be that your organization's not the best fit to apply directly for a grant from, say, WCTF or CTI.
Thank you. And I just wanted to mention too that our website has contact information on some of our program pages for program leads, as well as we have a team page that shows you who works on each program. And then we have this email address down below, info@comcor.org. So I know people are kind of interested in who to get in contact with, and we can definitely help facilitate that. And I would just recommend using the website as much as you can. There's a lot of great information there. Okay, another question for Tom. For the WTFP program, if you already have submitted courses to the portal, do they need to be resubmitted?
I definitely don't think so. I'll double check that with our WTFP team, but I do not expect that to be the case.
Okay. And does WCTF accept organizations that support higher education, training, and development?
We do accept applications from higher educational institutions. So it's a pretty broad range of eligible applicants there. Um, but yeah, so that's a quick answer.
Okay. Let's see. So there's a question about where to go to see the list of courses offered by WTFP. I think that's the link that we may need to provide. I don't know if maybe someone can grab that and put that in the chat. That could be helpful.
There's a directory of providers that we can offer to as a part of the FAQ. So that's definitely available.
Okay, great. And when does the Express grant typically go on pause during the year?
Oh, good question. So again, the pause that's in effect right now is for both the WTFP Express grants and the general program grants. We expect that pause to stop in July when we have our funding available for the next fiscal year in place. So it should be just about a month or so.
Okay, and for WTFP, are there any in-demand training programs that you're looking to find providers for? Any gaps in that you see?
Another good question. I'll definitely, as a follow-up, we'll work with our WTFP team to see if there's been a demand on a specific topic or skill, and we can include that in the FAQ too.
Okay. And I think you spoke to this a little bit, but there's a question on if employers and service providers can apply collaboratively for WTFP.
For WTFP, you can, sort of one example here are the general program grants, the other type of grants that we offer in addition to the express grants. The general program grants are larger grants that can go to individual employers or a consortium. That can be an opportunity for collaboration, for training providers and employers to work together on an application.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, will the general WCTF uh, program be open in fall? Sorry, I'm trying to read this correctly. That is going to be open in fall, still be limited to funding training opportunities for W-2 employees.
I don't expect, we're not planning on any changes to eligibility requirements related to individual employees that can be served through that program at this time.
Okay. Okay, Adil, a question for you. This person has participated in their city's summer internship program, but it's been discontinued. So they're wondering if it could be possible to get funding to revive that program. They say it matched local businesses with 15 to 20. I think there might be a typo there, sorry. It provided mentees with a stipend, and the businesses did not have to pay for anything.
That's great. Yeah. I think based on what city it is, we can get in contact. We can sit down with, folks who'd like to run the program as well as our local mass hire board, thinking specifically about the YouthWorks program. And that would be a good way to understand kind of the need and where the potential to revive that program could fit in with YouthWorks. Again, focusing on those population groups for young adults with disabilities, the program is primarily focused in that population group. We do have a grant program that directly funds training providers there, as well as for returning citizens. But particularly for the youth summer jobs mentorship programs, we go back and bring things back to those local mass hire regions to support understanding and partnership on the local regional organization of those activities.
Great, thank you. And Tom, could you speak a little bit to, again, the job retention and post-placement requirements for WCTF?
Absolutely. So WCTF is both is a program that focuses on both training and placement. Every time we issue an RFP, we identify any specific parameters for both placement goals and training goals that we're looking for from applicants. In the WCTF RFP, we've recently noted a expected placement rate of 75% or above of program completers. So that's the general parameter we look for. And if there's ever a change, we're always going to post that in the RFP.
Great. And program grants for the Workforce Training Fund, do they need to be specific to certain sectors? And if so, can you specify which ones?
They don't. So we really focus on, that's another really good question, really focus on skills and expertise that are needed. So we aren't limited, just to continue down this path, we don't limit applications just to services that are focused on healthcare or manufacturing or transportation. But it's really more about specific skills or topics like project management or DEI. I hope that's helpful there.
Thank you. Now I'm just looking to see any other ones we haven't gotten to yet.
I think there was a question about consortium applicants, specifically for the WTFP program. A good resource to check out is our website, just because it lists out really specific requirements for consortium. We haven't made any updates to that recently, and we don't have any planned at this time. So the existing guidance for consortium applications of them consisting of two or more employer organizations applying collaboratively with similar training needs is still in place. We identified that one organization must be the lead applicant, that organizations like community colleges can be involved, labor organizations, but again, that's all existing policy.
Okay. Let's see. So I think there's some questions about going to the previous slide to look at the upcoming RFPs again. So I'm gonna bring us back if I can. Let's see. Just so people can take another look at that. And if you have specific questions, feel free to submit them, or if there's anything else, Adil or Tom, you want to add here. But other than that, we'll just wait to
I
see.
think there was, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I think one thing I'll add is that signal success curriculum for YouthWorks, particularly designed around 14 to 25-year-olds, with those tiers and kind of age and stage model, that career stage model that I was discussing earlier. We are interested in partnering with agencies if they'd like to provide that curriculum to any of their participants, any of their constituents. And so if you are looking for a training curriculum relevant to that youth, young adult, career pathway age group, please reach out as well. I think signal success is something that we'd be interested in figuring out how we provide to more folks across the state and how we can be supportive of that and not just limit it to our YouthWorks providers as well. So please reach out.
Thank you. And Tom, can you clarify if the WTFP max is still 250,000?
Absolutely. So that maximum actually has been decreased. The current maximum grant amount for a general program grant is $125,000. So that the maximum has been lowered. I'll also mention separately, and this relates to one of the Donnelly grant questions that came in, that if you look at this slide and the row that's third from the bottom, the Workforce Competitiveness Trust Fund, that refers to the next RFP that we expect to release. That's in fall 2025 for WCTF. That's the RFP that funds those Donnelly grants, and those are the grants that are up to $500,000 and up to 3 years in length.
Okay, and I think that there's a modification on that question, which is talking about the consortium limit.
Mm, no, the max. I'll certainly double check, but the general program grant max is $125,000, but we'll go back and check on that.
Okay.
Tom, I see a question here, and I wonder, a little bit outside the script for us, but when there's a question here about hiring youth to train and if there's money to pay for their training. And I think it's really interesting because, you might be a employer or a training provider and you're trying to figure out how you can support, folks that you're hiring on in different ways. And I think there's training programs we offer. There's also things like WTFP Express where you can go and get reimbursement for training. And I wonder if we would just want to talk really quickly about some of the options. If you're an employer and you are hiring young people or maybe underemployed or unemployed folks and you want to train them up, how our different programs could be supportive to you, to maybe give you an idea. And so what I mean by that is for programs on the youth and justice side, I think for YouthWorks, if you're hiring youth that you'd like to train up and you're connected into one of the YouthWorks programs, those Mass Higher Regional Boards, there's actually dollars not just for training on professional skills, but also for subsidized employment. And that also goes for young adults with disabilities and our returning citizen reentry program, and actually our skill up work with DYS. And so ways that we might be supportive to you as an employer is by being able to provide subsidized employment opportunities for the youth that you might be hiring on. And then Tom, do you want to talk a little bit about any of your programs that might be relevant to a business owner who's looking to hire on youth or underemployed individuals?
That's a good question. I'd say both CTI, the Career Technical Initiative, and WCTF, those are both primarily workforce pipeline programs where companies, both small businesses and larger ones, can work with the the grantees and their partners to hire individuals from those programs. So again, both pipeline programs. Um, and WCTF will often have workforce boards or CBOs or community colleges who are the actual grantees. And so a business owner could partner as an employer partner with those grantees on an application, and then um, work really closely to identify training that's very appropriate for them, and make sure hiring requirements are clear.
And can we really quick specify what we mean by youth?
Yes, great question. So it depends on program. Broadly at CommCorp, folks are between the age of 14 and 25. They'll qualify for one of our youth programs, but it is different by program. YouthWorks is 14 to 25. Our DYS work is primarily associated with folks, I might get this one a little bit wrong, but 12 to 22. SSYI is 17 to 24. Young adults with disabilities is 18 to 35. So it's pretty wide ranging among youth and young adults. But broadly, folks are between, say, 14 to 25, they're going to fall into one of our program groups as long as they meet other eligibility criteria.
Thank you. And there's a question on expanding some of the curriculum for Signal Success, specifically social emotional learning and arts related curriculum.
Yeah, another great question. So for Signal Success, we have expanded the offerings. We did a full revamp in the past year. So folks who are familiar with the curriculum, I think back 10 years ago when I was working in a youth development program directly, I had a copy of Signal Success of this large PDF packet. We've updated that curriculum. We've updated kind of our virtual service offerings as well as the learning management system that we package with it. And so there are more modules related to social emotional learning. I'd love to learn more about the arts question, and so I think that'd be a great thing to get in touch about. I think we're always looking about how to expand the program, make it more applicable to more youth, and also starting to think about, what are some of the more boutique or like nuanced services we could offer. For example, not all of our programs will be arts related, but arts could be a great thing for us to offer for the programs that are arts related. And so we'd love to learn more and chat more about that.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. There is one more question about if there is, or if any of these programs are involved with federal funding. Any of them have federal backing.
I can start on that one. So on the sector side of the portfolio, we were very fortunate to receive some large infusions of federal funding through ARPA. This was a couple of years ago during the pandemic. So both CTI and WCTF received federal funds. Um, at this point, all of those funds have been obligated out to grantees, and so all the awards that we're funding now are funded with state funds rather than federal funds. And I'll hand it over to you for more on your side.
Yeah, it's a great question. So broadly, all of our programs are tied to state budget line items, pretty directly on the youth and justice side. So while they're not necessarily federally backed, I think there's ramifications of any federal change where dollars are moved around. For example, if say a program is moved or changed federally, that might mean that state funds are diverted in different ways. State funds are diverted in different ways. However, all of our programs on the youth and justice side are connected to state budget line items. And so we do have kind of an indirect connection to what happens at the federal level, but no direct connection with the youth and justice programs.
All right, thank you both. Let's see. I don't think we have anything new at this time. And we wanted to remind you again that if you have other questions that you didn't get the chance to ask today, we have an email address here, info@commcorp.org. Those will go through our team and just be routed to the correct person to help answer. And once again, we will send out an FAQ document and the slides that we're presenting today, as well as the recording. So there'll be opportunities to go over everything again. And we'll really hope to answer any of your questions and make it as easy as possible to move this work forward and be in partnership in the future. Let's see, I think.
Thank you all so much for all of your involvement in the webinar. Just great questions and really appreciate your interest. And I'll also say just really appreciate your partnership. Our programs really hinge on strong partnerships at the regional level. And so many of you are already involved with our programs, and we just really appreciate all of your work and support and look forward to our continued work together.
Couldn't have said it better, Tom. I totally agree. And I think, yeah, please stay in touch. I think for us, this webinar and future work that we do on this side, we really want to be the beginning of further discussions, further partnership. We know that our work at the state level is only possible with support and partnership at the local and regional level. So thank you.